You know, wrestling fans all have their favorite promos, from Dusty Rhodes' Hard Times to Ric Flair with the tear in his eye to Mick Foley's Kane Dewey promo to Stone Cold Steve Austin's Austin 316. Well, LexiCon 316 says it's time to get the conversation started. Hello and welcome to LexiCon. It is Maddie,
Lexi,
Dylan,
and it's WrestleMania season. As this podcast goes up, Night 1 is in the books and Night 2 is on the horizon. But peek behind the curtain, we have no idea what happened on Night 1 because we're recording this ahead of time. But that's alright, because we're going to look back at one of my favorite eras in pro wrestling with a pair of WrestleMania matches, one celebrating his 20th anniversary and one celebrating his 25th anniversary. But now these two matches make a nice set of bookends for the Attitude Era to me. Now, I know there's no real hard and fast rule of when the Attitude Era began and when it ended. And most people would say, and I would agree with them, that it probably started sometime around 1997, and that it had either already ended long before 2003 or went on for a couple of years after that. But to me, these matches work in this way because they represent Stone Cold Steve Austin's first World Championship victory at WrestleMania 14 in 1998, and then his last match at WrestleMania 19 in 2003. Well, at least his last match until he came back to wrestle Kevin Owens last year.
Yeah.
But for all intents and purposes, these really sort of mark the beginning and end of the Stone Cold Steve Austin era. And yeah, I know he was already pretty much a top guy before he actually won the World Championship. This is when he was really crowned the man, and he's more than anybody else the face of the Attitude Era. So I think these are a nice pair to look at. Plus, like I say, 20th anniversary, 25th anniversary.
Yep.
Strike that, reverse it, going in order. 25th anniversary and 20th anniversary. And so I think it's a nice way to go.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, the world title victory in 1998 wasn't Steve Austin's first WrestleMania match. We watched his bloody affair with Bret Hart at WrestleMania 97 last year on its 25th anniversary. And, of course, he also had a match at my favorite WrestleMania, WrestleMania 12 in 96, a very solid match with Savio Vega. And like I say, technically the 2003 match wasn't his last match, but for all intents and purposes it was. I mean, it was 19 years later before he came back, so...
Yeah.
Alright, you guys got anything you want to throw in? I think we're just going to get right into them and have everything I want to say during it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have Stone Cold Steve Austin, Mike Tyson, and Shawn Michaels on the screen. For those of you watching along, we're going to give you a countdown. 3, 2, 1, and when I say play, we'll all play together. For those of you not watching, just sit back and enjoy. So here we go. In 3, 2, 1, play. And we are live. Technically not. This happened 25 years ago, as I said. And point of fact, I didn't watch this match live. This was not a pay-per-view I got, even though I was a wrestling fan at the time. I was a WWF fan at the time. I was excited for Austin to win the championship. Shawn was one of my favorite wrestlers, but this just was not a pay-per-view that we got. You see Mike Tyson there. We'll get into that in just a second. But I did listen to the Scramble broadcast live, because we would do that sometimes back then if we didn't get the show. You're seeing some footage of Mike Tyson in his career. Of course, this was all set up back at starting at the Royal Rumble in 1998, which we watched earlier this year on a Rumble episode, when Mike Tyson was a special guest, and then you see he was there in the ring, and that was him watching at the Rumble. Austin would come out on Raw. In this scene right here, we're seeing him confront Tyson, the infamous Mr. Man. You ruined it! You ruined it! And it would set up the main event at Mania, where Austin was going to be taking on Shawn Michaels for the World Championship with Mike Tyson as the special guest enforcer. And even though you see Shawn confronting Mike, it's going to turn out that Mike's in league with Shawn's group, D-Generation X, which was at the time Hunter Hearst Helmsley, Shawn Michaels, and Chyna. And for a little while, Ravishing Rick Rude, but of course he left in the wake of the Montreal Screwjob, another match which we covered last year on the podcast.
I was going to say, of the 3 people currently in this room, you were the only one with the opportunity to watch this live.
Yeah, I didn't say that you guys, I wasn't like, oh, you guys are so silly. Y'all weren't born in time to watch this. What's the matter with y'all?
What's the matter with you? That was on you.
I was born.
But
I had the good sense to be born already. I had the good sense to be born in time to be Generation X. Not D-Generation X, but...
If you were born... at least if I was born not much earlier, I would have ended up being a millennial.
Of course, at this time, Steve Austin's in his ascendancy, and this is sort of the launching pad for him when he wins the World Championship. But this is the end of one era for Shawn Michaels. This is going to be his last match for 4 years until he comes back at SummerSlam 2002 to wrestle, Triple H. Shawn was suffering from a combination of personal issues and injuries. He had a fairly serious back injury, at least that's the story, stemming from a bump he took at Royal Rumble 98 in a casket match with Undertaker. Of course, a lot of people say it wasn't simply the bump, it was just an accumulation of things, and that was sort of the straw that broke the camel's back. And some people have suggested that the back injury was maybe not as serious as Shawn played it up to be, but, I guess nobody really knows for sure but Shawn. I know Jim Ross and Bruce Pritchard have both said that Shawn really was unhappy in the WWF and he wanted to go to WCW and be with his friends Kevin Nash and Scott Hall, who of course were down there doing the New World Order gimmick at the time. But if Vince didn't want to let him out of his contract, and that's why Vince continued to pay him for the 4 years that he was off/out with the back injury. Tyson coming out. That's Tony Gurria behind him in the suit, and the other gentleman was Pat Patterson. Right there in the dark blue, that's Pat Patterson. I'm sure we've talked about him before. Both are former wrestlers. Both were working as backstage agents for the WWF at the time. Pat Patterson was big in the creative, too. He was the main booker during the 80s after George Scott left. Of course, I know Vince is the ultimate guy, but Pat was more the nuts and bolts guy and still had a reputation for being great when it came to booking match finishes. And, of course, one of the all-time great wrestlers, one half of one of the greatest tag teams of all time with Ray Stevens. First Intercontinental Champion.
So many signs.
Yep, this was the sign era. I wanted
Wrestling
to...
signs are always interesting.
I never did it, and I did go to a couple live shows around this time, but I wanted to take a sign around this time to a wrestling match that said, Cloud Fear Sephiroth. Or vice versa. We could go either way.
Nice.
Because Final Fantasy VII, of course, had come out the year before this.
Nice.
I just want to take the most random signs to wrestling shows.
Mike Tyson doing the DX crotch chop.
That's going to be your TikTok series.
I'm going to have like 5 signs all out with me.
Marvelous Marvin Hagler, another former boxer, in the crowd. This match took place in Boston, probably at the Fleet Center. And there's the Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin, fixing to take his rightful place at the top of the World Wrestling Federation. I mean, he was already the biggest star in wrestling at this point. His 97, and especially his feud with Bret Hart, had really kicked him into the stratosphere. Oh, look, I like the little shot of the monitor right there. Did y'all see that?
Yes.
You see Steve doing his thing, but also the little inside of the monitor. That was cool.
Yes.
And you see everybody standing there as he comes out.
That's a lot of signs.
Yeah.
I'll also have one like Han shot first, having like all your bases belong to us. There's a bunch of random references. Nothing to do with wrestling though.
You'll see those if you look. Not necessarily in this crowd, but I mean, they're out there. Oh my gosh, this is besides the fact, and by the time this airs, it'll be at least a week old, but I saw a post the other day online where Disney had put out a social media post talking about great couples or something.
Uh-huh.
And gosh, I can't remember. I know Wanda and Vision were one of them because it was like 4 photos, and Wanda and Vision were like up in the upper right hand corner.
Yeah.
I don't remember who was in the upper left hand corner. I don't remember who was in the bottom right hand corner, but in the bottom left, it was captioned Han Solo and Princess Leia, or Princess Leia and Han Solo. Mm-hmm. The picture was of Princess Leia and Luke Skywalker.
Oh no. That's what I was kind of expecting as you started saying it.
So I don't know if it was an intentional joke or if somebody was drunk.
They've never seen Star Wars.
Apparently at one point the plan was not for Austin to challenge for the championship at WrestleMania, but actually to face Mike Tyson in a match. But Mike had been suspended from boxing the year before when he bit Evander Holyfield's ear in a match that they had. And even though technically wrestling and boxing aren't the same thing, people thought, and I don't know, Mike Tyson's camp, just the athletic commissions, whatever, didn't think it would be good for him to be competing in a ring of any kind. So he ended up as the enforcer, which I think is better because they needed to get the belt on Austin. Triple H, hey man, come on, what did I do?
Look, Mike Tyson's in there, a little snack in the ring. He's like, oh man, I'm feeling kind of hungry.
I'm not as big a fan of the Sean saying, this is for you, Earl, talking about referee Earl Hebner, who was out with, I would say a brain aneurysm, but I'm not sure that's the case, but some serious medical issue at the time. He was also the referee in the ring during the night of the Montreal Screwjob. The referee who debuted during the twin referee angle back in 1988 between Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant. But I was talking about, I don't like the mirror chainmail look of Shawn as much as I do the early 90s look when he had like the zebra stripes that we talked about and like the pleather vest. That's my favorite Shawn, but this is okay. And this is the band playing the DX entrance music. I do not know the name of the band. I apologize. But you've all heard it, you know. Yeah, you all know it. I'm not going to do it because I won't do it justice.
Jim and his bros. That's the band. Jim and the dudes.
That's gonna be your band?
No.
No.
Jim and the dudes.
I probably won't have a band, but if I do, it'll not be named Jim and the Dudes.
Jim and the Dudettes.
Yeah, I don't really like that look either.
Yeah, it's fine. And I mean, once he gets the vest and the chaps and everything off, the trunks still look good. And I like the gloves / wraps he's got on.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like all these cuts during the entrance.
Yeah, that was how they did DX's entrance.
I got...
Just interspersed their actual entrance with the clips from their video package.
They wanted to make edits of the favorite wrestler. Can you blame them?
It was supposed to, be cutting edge and hip and like, oh, DX is, set them apart from the other guys. It was just their style.
I can't look at the same thing for 2 seconds.
Lots of shots of Shawn abusing the Bret Hart little person the day after Montreal.
It literally just looks like they're like, oh, here's a bunch of clips to throw them in there.
And I said it before, that's my second favorite wrestling championship belt of all time. My favorite is just the ECW television title that rips that look off. But it's better because it's got the circular side plates. That belt's referred to as the Winged Eagle by belt collectors. Associated most with Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, but it actually debuted at WrestleMania 1985, I think. Not 85. WrestleMania 5, which was 1989.
Nice.
It may have debuted before that. Maybe it debuted the year before, because I think that is the belt that Savage carried his whole reign. So maybe it debuted at WrestleMania 4 in 88. But around that time. It was not the belt that Hogan wore for his first championship reign. I think there were 3 different belts he wore, but I don't think that was one of them, unless he was wearing it at the very end.
Yeah.
Which he may have been, because that may have been the belt that Andre won in the double referee issue and that DiBiase bought from him immediately thereafter, causing the stripping of the title in the title tournament that allowed for Macho Man Savage to win the championship at WrestleMania 4. Like I say, Shawn was coming into this match with a back injury aggravated at Royal Rumble 98. In fact, he didn't wrestle at all between Royal Rumble 98 and WrestleMania 14, as far as I know. I know he missed the pay-per-view in between, in what was supposed to be an 8-man tag match. It was an 8-man tag match. He was supposed to be in it, but Savio was the substitute. Double middle fingers from Steve Austin there. But as far as the back injury goes, there's a point in this match, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to pinpoint exactly when it is, but where you can just tell Shawn's aggravated, and he wrestled the rest of the match in a fair amount of pain. Mm-hmm. I mean, you could argue, yeah, Shawn's good at selling anyway, but this was sort of different. It looks like he's really in pain. Like, whether the back injury was enough to really keep him out for 4 years or not is another story, but I think he clearly was hurting at the time. Mm-hmm. I don't think that's really in denial. Or in doubt. He looks good, man. He's in good shape then. But yeah, at some point you're going to notice. See, here he's moving around fine, doesn't seem to be in any pain, but either the injury got aggravated or the drugs he was on wore off. Because there's a point in this match where you can tell he's hurting and he's just wincing and gingerly moving around. So it's a real testament to his fortitude to gut out the rest of the match and put Steve over. Oh, the butt shot.
I wish they ran around for like 3 more minutes.
Classic Ric Flair, Shawn Michaels.
To put some music over it, like na 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 na.
You can make that super edit, but I don't think that would be appropriate for the main event of the Showcase of the Immortals, featuring the hottest star in the business, Stone Cold Steve Austin, and the show stealer, Mr. WrestleMania himself, Shawn Michaels.
You see, this is why I don't want any wrestling things, because I don't take it seriously enough.
Yeah.
Well,
but somehow I think I still take it more seriously than some of the people writing wrestling.
That's fine somewhere in the mid-card, or, even to have fun on a house show or something, but you're not going to do that in the main event of your biggest show of the year. When you're crowning the guy who's going to lead your company for the next few years to the greatest heights it's ever seen.
I feel like there's some wrestlers you could easily do that with and it would make sense in other settings, or even in a big setting like WrestleMania.
Mike playing his part, he's the enforcer. Keep it clean, back up. I believe the referee just ejected Triple H. Maybe Triple H and Chyna.
Interesting.
But at least Hunter. I can't tell if Chyna's going with him or not. Well, she could just be going around the other side of the ring, or to.
I thought the caption said that.
Yep, there she goes.
Yeah.
As she leaves, what do you think about the handcuffs, sort of holding her outfit together?
I did not
notice that. Sort of like where the belt would be, and on her top, it had like little handcuffs.
Interesting.
I think Shawn stole somebody's bottle of water. Oh, little parting shot from Steve to Triple H.
onto the stage.
Oh no, don't mess with the drums.
Oh,
No, the drums!
that was very symbolic. But ching. As Sean hits him with the cymbal. We've added the X's to the broken hearts on his tights for Degeneration X. I still like it back when it was just the splotches with the zebra stripes. So the broken hearts are fine.
That was there specifically for that purpose.
Yeah, that looks a little out of place.
Yeah.
It does, but it is a stadium. It's not out of the question that they would have an industrial dumpster somewhere in there.
I think it's completely reasonable that they'd have it somewhere, just not there.
I don't think that... I seriously doubt they put that out there specifically for one tiny little spot in the match. Because, I mean... A, back then, people didn't set up nearly as much as they do now ahead of time, and B, if they're going to set something up, it's going to be a lot bigger than just...
his ass.
Do
I'm
what?
pretty sure someone was smacking his
I'm
ass.
pretty sure that girl with the blue shirt was trying to smack Steve's ass.
So come on, Steve, you got this! Smacking his ass.
Oof.
Gut shot.
Oof.
The rattlesnake firing up. Takes him to the corner. Irish whip. Michael's up and not over.
Oof.
That could be where he hurts his back.
That
I mean, it would
looked
make
very
sense.
painful.
Definitely looked painful.
And
It
normally,
looked like it's a bag.
normally with that bump, he would either go all the way over the top or he would hang himself in the corner. Inverted atomic drop.
That pin.
Yeah,
looked
I
kinda
think
weak.
Sean's back's hurting by this point.
What?
That pin looked kind of weak. It looked like Steve was barely on him.
Well, it clearly wasn't the finish.
I know. It just.
I mean, Sean's obviously selling here, but I think that bump in the corner could have been where the back got re-injured. Like I said, everybody talks about the bump in the casket match where he really hurt it.
Mm-hmm.
But I know, early in this match he seems fine, and toward the second half of it, he's hurting. So clearly
Yeah.
there's some point here that he tweaks that injury even more. The hot shot.
Repeatedly into the ropes.
A.K.A. the stun gun. That was Steve Austin's finisher when he first came to WCW in 1991.
Nice.
And he came right into a feud with then television champion Bobby Eaton. Quickly won the television championship. Stunner? Nope.
No stunner.
Ouch.
Bump on the table.
Just landed. Ouch.
Of course, Jim Ross, good old JR, and Jerry the King Lawler on commentary. Definitely the premier commentary duo of the Attitude Era, if not all time.
The fact that at some point in his life, he looked at this. He's like, yes, I want to throw myself off of a wrestling ring into a table, head first. That is what I would like to do with my life.
And
To be fair,
I
that
don't
wasn't a
know.
common bump when he started.
I'll never understand how.
I mean, this
can
is
look
one
at
of the
this and be like,
many
"I
things
wanna
that
do
wrestlers
that."
look at and it's like, yes,
I used to
I'm
wanna
going
be
to
a
be a
wrestler.
part of that.
And I will never understand how you look at this. And you're like, yeah, I want to do that.
I mean,
It's like, seriously?
Elbow.
Like, I know a lot of this gets planned out or not, but they are still actively hurting themselves and one another.
If it weren't for the travel and being away from your family and stuff, I still like to be a wrestler.
Nice.
I mean, obviously I'm a little old to start it at this point, and I'm not going to, but just in general, like I don't regret never pursuing it because I want other things in life, but other than those things, I mean, the physicality of it is what it is. It's no different than any other contact sports. And yes, we've been through this before. Wrestling is a sport. The outcomes may be
I don't know, I
predetermined.
think
It may
it's
not be a
little-
competition.
It's a little different to throw yourself onto some thumbtacks.
A, that's not every match. B, I think it's a lot less to throw yourself on some thumbtacks than it is to play 60 minutes in an NFL game. I mean, you ask those guys what it's like getting up every morning after playing.
I feel like there's a lot more injuries.
I feel like sports in
hear about
general
than in
are
other
quite-
sports.
You don't
Right,
follow other
something.
sports that much either.
True.
Guys in other sports are banged up all the time, especially something
As I
like
say, I
football
felt
where
like
you're
they're the
hitting on
most
every
of-
play.
Football.
But even in
Injuries.
football, they have like gear to protect them a little bit.
A little bit.
More
Some of
more
that
gear
can
than
do
hair.
damage in the right
They are wearing
situation.
essentially just underwear.
But here you're also trying to protect each other too, to a degree.
Yeah.
Football, you're not necessarily going out trying to hurt each other, but you're trying to stop each other. You're trying to
Yeah.
prevent somebody from making a tackle. You're trying to prevent somebody from running with the ball. You're knocking guys over, and even if your intent isn't to hurt them, you're still going to physically prevent them from doing something. Whereas at least in wrestling, you can work with each other.
Yeah,
And I'm not diminishing the suffering that pro wrestlers go through. It's very physical, and that's another reason that I object to anybody calling it fake. I'm just saying, don't impugn what professional football players go through either, or other sports to a somewhat
No
lesser
sport
degree.
is
football is definitely one
not
of the more
physically.
And I mean,
and hockey.
And I'm not going to impugn what anybody else. Even baseball players suffer injuries and have physical ailments. Basketball players, it's all physical. Anybody who
Does a physical sport.
for a living and spends all their time doing that. Even guys who don't do it for a living, even guys on the lower levels who are just getting started, you're gonna, there's wear and tear on your body. It's a tough row to hoe.
Hockey is very violent.
God, don't get started on hockey.
What I say, that's very intentionally violent.
You can see Sean now. He's hurting at this point. He's having trouble moving around.
Hockey might outweigh wrestling.
In hockey, one guy will go over and like whack another with a stick. Why not? But it is very violent.
See, look at Sean. He's holding the back. He's not moving like he was earlier in the match. Look at him walking gingerly.
Yeah.
You can tell he's hurting.
No, I don't think
But
golf
he's gutting
is that
it out.
violent. I don't think in golf he's like go over hit you.
No, but your body's not meant to have that torque on it every time swinging that ball.
Yeah.
You do get injuries.
But much
Again,
less.
not to the degree of certain other sports, but there is a physical toll to be paid for anything you're going to do. And I mean, look, there are so-called regular jobs that you're very physical at that you're going to pay a toll for too. We're not diminishing what anybody goes
We
through.
were just on the topic of sports.
Exactly. Yep. This is the point that Sean... There's actually a great package on this for WrestleMania 2000. They did what they call WrestleMania All Day. And for the 8 hours or so before the pay-per-view, they had a pay-per-view special where they did a half-hour documentary on each WrestleMania before it, and they did an hour on WrestleMania 3 because it was, such a big mania. But the video package on this match, and of course at some point it's set to music, but just showing Michaels gutting it out, really nice little piece of business. But yeah, you can tell he's hurt now. I keep saying that because y'all seem to keep wanting to not acknowledge it, but I mean, dude's hurting and he's still gutting it out. And this is not necessarily a classic match. It's not one of Michael's best matches, but it's not a bad match by any means. And he hangs in there and he puts Steve over the right way.
Yeah.
Going for the sharpshooter maybe, or is he just going to drop a leg on him? Yeah, he's just going to stomp him.
He's picking up his legs.
Thought maybe he was going to up. So
Rude.
That's single bird from Triple H, double from Steve, double from Sean.
Lots of flipping
Double
people
leg
off.
takedown, now Austin pounding on him on the mat.
Well, yeah, you gotta have attitude.
This is the Attitude Era, for sure. Like I said, I think you could probably chart the beginning of the Attitude Era to the year before, but we're definitely in the middle of it at this point.
The Attitude Era is also known as the very edgy era. I'm not saying it's bad. It's edgy.
The Attitude Era was great, and it doesn't
I
mean
thought a lot of people liked the Attitude Era.
doesn't mean everything in the Attitude Era was great, but just overall it was great. It was a fantastic time to be a wrestling fan.
Like every other, it had its questionable moments.
I feel like the Attitude Era is probably one of people's favorite eras.
I mean, other than the crowds and to some degree the storytelling, maybe nothing in the Attitude Era was the absolute best of wrestling. There was a lot of really good stuff, and it was just an exciting time, and it was just, wrestling was so alive at this point. You never knew what was going to happen, and there were such, big personalities like Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock. It was a really great time to be a wrestling fan. Then, of course, you had things like Mae Young giving birth to a hand on Raw, but, it's not all winners.
The Attitude Era was certainly something. It had its highs and lows.
And yeah, the interesting thing to me is, like, my two favorite wrestlers at the time, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, were both pretty much done once the Attitude Era got going. This is Shawn's last match for 4 years. Bret had left the WWF at the end of '97 and just kind of floundered in WCW, so the Attitude Era was pretty much Shawn and Bret free, but...
Pretty sure I
like
saw a
they'd book in
sign
the
that said,
Attitude
"Hi,
Era
Mom
well.
and Dad."
Do what?
It feels like they'd book in the Attitude Era well.
Well, I mean, Shawn was a big part of kicking it off, and even Bret was too, with his edgier promos and his working style, especially in '97. I mean, they were both a part of getting it kicked off.
There it is.
Yeah.
They just weren't a big part of seeing it through because they were both pretty much out of it by then. You like the braid Shawn's rocking?
It's choice.
How about the dichotomy between Shawn's hairy chest and Steve's smooth chest? Steve was never a big body hair guy. Sean wasn't afraid to show the body
He
hair.
looks very smooth.
Oh, thought we were
He
gonna get a little butt
decided
shot
to
again.
embrace the lack of hair.
A lot of wrestlers shaved and waxed and preferred to be smooth. I mean, it shows off the muscles better.
Nice.
Yeah. Not much more to say.
Yeah. They're in the ring. They're doing things.
He's crossing his foot. Look at that on a rope.
He's working the knee.
And I'm not sure how painful that'd be.
Well, the idea is he's draping the leg on the ropes where he can plop down on the knee. He's working the knee.
Yeah.
And you see Austin has that big heavy brace. He's had knee issues in his career.
Why doesn't he just move his knee?
So the idea is he's winded and Sean's holding it on there long enough for him to drop it. There's got to be a little bit of suspension of disbelief, Dylan.
Yes, I am.
Ooh, big kick there.
Yeah, he
Sends him
goes
out
in.
over
Hi,
the
guys.
table.
Can you guys pick me up? My head's a car over here. Okay. I'll just pick myself up.
Mike with the DX crotch chops in the back.
I really want to see a wrestler get...
Oh, look at the wedgie on Steve.
I really want to see a wrestler to get like thrown to a table with his like coffee cup. He's like takes a sip of coffee, goes back into the match.
I think we've seen approximations of that.
I have not personally seen that. That I am aware of.
I'm going to say, how many people can say they've gotten a wedgie from Mike Tyson live on pay-per-view?
Probably only him.
Figure 4 leg lock coming up, perhaps. Now, the interesting thing is most people, they're going to work a knee, and they're going to make that the knee that they bend for the figure 4. But wouldn't it make more sense to work the knee that you're crossing over? Because wouldn't the pressure be on the straightened leg?
I don't remember.
You get what I'm saying. I mean, you have your leg straight and your leg is crossed, and it's putting pressure down on that knee. The leg that's bent, I mean, if your knee's hurt already, I guess it would hurt to bend it, but you're not really... I guess you're putting pressure on the bones in the lower half of your leg.
Yeah.
The tibia and the fibula.
Yeah.
I feel like wrestlers always go very over the top in submission holds.
Well, remember, you're not just working to the TV cameras. You're working to that guy up in the 40th row who needs to see it. You need to be big and over the top to communicate to the whole crowd.
How does anybody sit up there and
Binoculars.
And even for people just watching at home, if you're just laying there, if you're not really selling it, it's going to get boring. It's going to look like the proverbial rest hold. But if you're really, banging the mat and moving around and shaking your head, then there's some excitement there.
Yeah, I do typically prefer the more over-exaggerated kind of acting.
Went from opera glasses to binoculars for a wrestling show.
Partially acting. Of course, they are in pain.
I mean, wrestling is nothing if not over the top. And then having been in a figure 4 that's been reversed on me, I can tell you, it does hurt.
Nice to know.
There he goes, he's rolling away.
Mm-hmm.
He's rolling. Oh, wait, that was Undertaker a few years later. WrestleMania rolls on. Sean gingerly approaching him. No, Austin fires up. Shots to the jaw. Technically, closed fists are illegal in wrestling, but slingshot into the corner.
Why?
You're not supposed to punch in wrestling. It's against the rules.
Why?
Because it's not boxing. You don't have the gloves. Yeah, closed fists are illegal.
Huh.
Yeah, you wouldn't know that literally just watching
Is it a move, a Superman punch, where they just, punch him?
Yeah.
That's an illegal move?
I guess technically.
I've never seen wrestling actually abide to that rule.
I've never heard somebody commentate on that, and I mean, yeah, it's one of the things that's not nearly as pushed as it used to be, but even back when I got into wrestling in the early 90s, they would point out, closed fists are technically against the rules.
I feel like that's a rule only.
But it's not like it's never.
When they can use it for a stuff.
I'm sure it has been at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But in general, it's not pushed to something you're going to get disqualified for right away. That referee's either having the worst night of his life or the best.
Yeah.
With Sean's ass present to his face. With the referee out, I think we might be setting up the finish here because, spoilers, Mike Tyson's going to get in and count the 1, 2, 3.
Nice.
And reveal himself to be on Stone Cold's side all along.
Man, Mike is really just switching it up.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Sean. Clearly he's in pain, but he's still bumping around.
Or closed feet.
I like to see you.
Kicks and stomps are illegal.
You
back drop
kick
or
all
back
you
body
want.
drop.
This isn't boxing, so no fists.
I feel like the fist thing pretty much is ignored for the most part.
Yeah,
Forearm by, and I see normally Sean would get a lot more height on that forearm too.
like I said, I feel like
And
that's
he would generally follow that with a kip up where he just goes from laying on his back to just flipping up onto his feet.
That's probably a rule they only enforce when they can use it to sell a story or something.
But see, he didn't kip up there. He just stood up. You can tell the back's gone. The back's just not there.
Vince, he punched me. Disqualify him.
Michael's heading up top, probably gonna set up the flying elbow drop, a la Macho Man Randy Savage, Can't do it as good as me, but can do it pretty good, I won't freak out if he does it, because he does it all right. Yeah, look at that landing,
Owie.
Yeah, Macho Man was known to break a river too with that move. If he
Ouch.
landed on you too heavily.
Lots of breaking stuff in wrestling.
yeah,
Whether it's tables or people.
yeah.
Sean in the corner gonna set up Sweet Chin Music, his super kick finisher.
How many times has somebody broken a metal chair while hitting someone?
I have seen it happen.
I want to see it happen.
No, you don't. That's awful. I want to see somebody get beaten so badly with a chair that it breaks.
Okay, well, you're watching wrestling.
I was gonna say, I'm
Yeah, but
watching
you
wrestling
don't want to see
already.
people really get hurt. Steve with the duck under, boot in the midsection, stunner, no. Michaels pushes him off. Sweet Chin Music, no. Catches the foot again, spins him around, boot in the midsection. There's the stunner, it's gotta be all, but there's no referee. Wait, Tyson's in the ring, 2, 3, we got a new champion!
I mean, when I see someone get hit with thumbtacks,
I was gonna say, it's gotta be as much fun watching at the table.
jumping
play
off
for
the
I'm sorry.
cage, going to the
I'm sorry.
table, thumbtacks.
But having a few thumbtacks pushed in your body, or even a few hundred, is not nearly as damaging as being beaten with a heavy metal chair. You're gonna contusions, break bones, concussions. Those chair shots can be dangerous.
These people create these shows for the sake of entertainment. I would like to be
understand.
entertained by what happened.
So you're only entertained.
Are you not entertained?
Wait, I'm
You're
not.
only entertained by people doing things that are going to hurt them in real
No,
life. I
I'm
understand
not
that there's a
asking
certain
for them
element of
to
risk.
do it again.
But I don't
I
want-
want to see when it happened already.
I don't want to see.
It's already
them go,
happened.
I don't
I might
want to
as
see
well
them go
enjoy it.
over the top.
I said if it's already happened, I might as well enjoy
Look, if
it.
you already
They
got
did it for the sake
concussion.
of entertainment.
Look,
Yeah, I mean, I might can find you footage of it, but I mean, it's not like I would want to see it happen, or I'm glad that it
Yeah.
happened.
look, I'm sorry you got a concussion, but yo, you got the footage?
I'm sorry you got a concussion, but you signed a contract.
Capitalism at its finest. Look, he signed the contract. The concussion's not a fault, I swear.
The Austin 316
So they have
shirt,
decent insurance.
the best-selling T-shirt in the history of pro wrestling.
Wrestlers have pretty good insurance, right?
Mike's gonna no.
No?
I think nowadays they're required to, but I mean,
God.
always back in the day they had to get it themselves. The promotions didn't, because you're independent contractors.
Okay, but they could make enough to have decent insurance, right?
They can, but you got to remember what they make. A lot of that goes to road expenses, gas and food and motels. None of that stuff's covered.
I couldn't imagine going through all this and then having shitty insurance.
Insurance has been sort of a touchy subject for wrestlers throughout the years. I think nowadays it's a little bit better, but no, they've been one of the more underinsured segments of the population historically.
Like I said, I do not want
Seems
to
like
imagine
this
going
should
through
have the
all
most
this
insurance.
and then having shitty insurance. It's like, yep.
They should probably, but in a capitalist society, who's going to pay for it? And I'm not defending that, but I'm just saying realistically, you got to understand that somebody's got to pay for it, and they don't necessarily have the money to get great insurance. Insurance is expensive.
Yeah.
Tyson drops
Knocked
Michaels
him
there.
down. Don't mess with Tyson's punches.
So that's why Steve had 2 of the Austin shirts. So Sean could throw one, and he could still
Sean's
get
just
one to
got knocked down like Little Mac. There's one punch you down. Is there one punch you down and punch up?
maybe one of the upper. I don't think it's any Mike Tyson punch, but some of the bigger ones definitely. And it doesn't take much.
I don't know, I haven't fought Mike Tyson much in Punch Out. I suck at Punch Out.
I haven't played Punch Out much.
I can
Punch Out's
get
a solid game.
I can get
I don't
like
think I get past the
Bald
first thing in
Bull.
it.
I can get like just past Bald Bull and then I'm done.
That's nice.
And yeah, supposedly Sean was not happy about the T-shirt being draped over his face. He did not want that. He thought losing the match and being knocked out by Tyson and having the shirt draped over him was just too much. Was just burying him. But of course, he'd be gone for the next 4 years. He would be back as the commissioner later this year, that year, 98, or maybe 99, he'd be back as commissioner. So he wasn't completely off television, but his in-ring career was done for the next several years.
Have you ever even gone past Glass Joe and Punch-Out? Have you ever even played Punch-Out?
I have played Punch-Out.
Did you get past Glass Joe at least?
Is that the first thing?
Yes.
And that's a maybe.
It's like impossible to lose to. You just have to keep punching.
Well, that's why I said it's a maybe. Maybe I managed to, but there's a chance I didn't.
The trick is to punch him in the jaw.
Remember, I've died to the first Goomba in Mario.
He's got a glass jaw.
I've died to the first Goomba in Mario, dude. I can lose to just about anything in a video game.
Yeah, but also you play The Sims. And you somehow play that and not get bullied. So that takes some skill.
I don't
To not get bullied at The Sims.
I think that's up for debate.
And then the confetti falls from the ceiling as the Austin era officially begins.
Nice.
Yay.
All right, and from there we're going to go 5 years into the future, but now 20 years into the past.
Wow.
Wow.
We're staying on Peacock, so we're going to go up to season 19. This is going to be WrestleMania 19. It took place on March 30th, 2003. And we're going to be starting this one at 2 hours, 45 minutes, and 15 seconds into the show. Not the main event for this show, but some people would consider a main event. This was actually a really loaded WrestleMania. Actually, one of my favorite WrestleManias of all time. Definitely in the top 5, right up there with WrestleMania 12, WrestleMania 17. This might actually come in at number 3 behind those two.
Nice.
I'd have to actually really sit down and think about it, but really enjoyed this show. Unlike the other show, I did see this show live, but I didn't see this match live. And we'll get into that in just a minute. We have a helicopter flying in front of the moon, the sun, some sort of glowing orb here on our screen as we're paused.
A spaceship.
2 hours, 45 minutes, 15 seconds, so we can all get synced up together. Again, 3, 2, 1, we'll all play on play. I'll give you the countdown, and then we'll get into the rest of this. In 3, 2, 1, play. Yeah, again, we got this pay-per-view, and I was excited for it, but I was working nights at the time, and I was going to have to leave for work right after the show was over. So I chose this match to be the time that I took off and did what I needed to do to get ready for work, because I'd seen Rock and Austin plenty of times before. This wasn't a World Championship match. Like I said, it wasn't even the official main event, and I really wanted to see the actual main event, which was Kurt Angle and Brock Lesnar for the World Championship.
Yeah.
So I chose to skip this one at the time, having no idea that this was Stone Cold Steve Austin's last match, because that wasn't something that was advertised at all. This was just another Rock Austin match, and I figured Austin would be around for a while, and I'd seen it before, I'd probably seen it again, so I missed this match live, and I sort of regret that since it turned out to be Austin's last match, but I have seen it since, of course.
Which year was this?
2003.
Yep.
This is the third Rock Austin match at WrestleMania. They wrestled for the championship in both 99 and 2001. 99 is when Austin would regain the championship when he was during his incredible hot run that we just saw a part of in 98. 2001 would be when Austin would again regain the championship from Rock, but this time with the ill-fated Steve Austin heel turn. And now we come to 2003. Steve Austin has actually just come back. He left WWF/WWE in 2002 because he was dealing with some injuries and he was kind of burnt out, as they would say. He was disappointed with creative, and he just took off and went home. And he would come back at the beginning of 2003 and lead up to this match, which, as it would turn out, was his last match, but nobody publicly knew that at the time. I'm sure some within the company realized that.
Yeah.
And Rock was kind of a part-timer at this point, too, because he was starting to make inroads in Hollywood. He was back right now doing the sort of big head Hollywood Rock. He was the heel and Austin was the babyface here. But this is going to be the only one of their 3 matches at WrestleMania that Rock would actually win.
Interesting.
To set up Rock to wrestle Bill Goldberg as he would come into the company for the first time right after this. And, of course, Austin's going to ride off into the sunset. I mean, Austin would still be around. He'd be in that commissioner role that Michaels had, GM, what have you, and of course he's done plenty of things with the company. It's not like he just disappeared, but this was his last actual match, again, until last year's contest with Kevin Owens.
Now, did I pay any attention to this when it happened?
No, you were asleep, probably.
I was going to say, was I even awake for it?
You may have been awake for the early matches on the show, but by this point I don't recall you being awake.
This is before the Rock's head was shiny.
Yeah, but it is. He does have a shortcut. He doesn't have the flat top that he had early in his career. but not the
It's the
bald
middle
head either.
stage of Rock. It's his middle evolution.
And The Rock was mid.
And you see now Austin has
I doubt he was mid here.
and you see Austin has 2 knee braces now instead of just one.
Yeah.
As he would continue to have knee issues throughout his career. This took place at, I believe, Safeco Field, whatever the big arena is in Seattle. Whatever they're calling it at the time.
So which of the two do you guys prefer, Rock or Steve?
Rock.
Rock.
I was an Austin guy. I love The Rock, don't get me wrong, but to be there when Steve was on the ascendancy, it was something special. And a lot of that time, Rock was the heel, too. But we all grew to love Rock, don't get me wrong. I think Rock was fantastic. But no, Austin was the man. Neither one of them was my favorite of all time. They'd both be in the top 10.
Batista's my favorite.
As we've said before, neither one of them's in the top 5 either for me. But
The Rock is somewhere near my favorites.
they're both fantastic. They're 2 of the biggest stars in the history of wrestling, and they were both great on the mic, in the ring, just as personalities.
Mick Foley would be up in my favorite.
Nothing bad to say about either one of them, but if I have to choose, yeah, I was always on Austin's side. And again, in all 3 of the matches, you know, by the time they did the second one, it was technically a babyface match. Steve would kind of turn heel at the end of it and officially cement the heel turn over the next couple weeks on television.
So I don't know if or where Austin would fall on my ranking list.
Like I said, you missed the Austin era, though. You can go back and watch the tapes. You can be told about it. You can see the documentaries, but it means something to have been there live and seen it happen.
Yeah.
And The Rock is still pretty much The Rock. He's just an actor now in Hollywood instead of a performer in wrestling. But you even get to see him come back and do some things in wrestling here and there. But
yeah,
y'all missed the Austin era, so I understand that y'all don't realize just how special that run was. And of course, as far as the Attitude Era goes, Rock was a big part of that. They both were.
My top 3 are probably Batista, McFoley,
The Rock and
The
Stone.
Yes, you've made that comment before.
Yes. The Rock dodges.
Who would your top 3 be?
A rattlesnake-loaded bullet. That was what Michael or JR said on commentary. I don't know who was commentating here.
Who's your top 3?
My top 3?
Yes. Have to pick
In
3.
no particular order.
Okay.
Shawn Michaels, Bret Hart, and Ric Flair.
Okay.
And Rob Van Dam's very close to that. And then Kurt Angle is a little further behind, but he rounds out the top 5.
It's like I have a lot of wrestlers that I like, but I don't watch wrestling enough, often enough to really
I feel like if we paid more attention, my list might be slightly adjusted.
And then
I
think they'd still be top 3.
And then the second 5 for me, again in no particular order, would be Dean Malenko, Mick Foley, Steve Austin, The Rock. And that last one, I don't know. There's a lot of people who could go in there. Kind of just depends on the mood I'm in. I mean, anybody from Bobby Eaton to Booker T. Lots of wrestlers I enjoy. Taz, I was a big fan of his run in ECW. Big fan of Rey Mysterio.
I think some women might round out my top 5.
Need more women in my top 5.
Yeah.
Yeah, during most of the eras that I was really big into wrestling, the early 90s, mid-90s, late 90s, women's wrestling was just not that big of a thing, and there were not a lot of great women performers, especially in the United States, or at least women performers given the chance to be great.
Yeah.
I've seen a bit of the modern wrestling. I remember a match between Ronda Rousey and Charlotte Flair at Survivor Series in 2018. I thought it was a fantastic match.
Yeah.
Maybe my favorite match that year, but again, I keep up with the modern product, but not on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis.
Yeah, I feel like I haven't watched enough modern wrestling to pick my favorites.
I watch modern wrestling once every couple months.
There are plenty of modern wrestlers that I like.
I think you're watching it more often than me.
Well, I watch it whenever we all watch it.
I try to watch the big shows because they're on the network.
Yeah.
But other than that, I mean, we don't even have a cable subscription right now, so we can't see Raw live. It's like a few weeks behind on the network. We don't have any access to TNT and TBS, so AEW's out. I tried to order an AEW pay-per-view, and Bleacher Report just fucked us completely. Yeah. So fuck Bleacher Report, never trying to do business with them again. So probably not going to see an AEW pay-per-view. I have thought about getting some of the DVDs before, but
we'll be seeing WrestleMania at some point, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, again, that's on the network, and I don't have anything to do, so it's no problem to stay up and watch the show.
Man, this is throwing each other in the corners. Let's get in the corner. No, you get in the corner. No, you get in the corner. No, my boy puts Austin in the corner.
Did you say no boy?
I meant to say nobody.
It sounded like no boy. Girls can do it all the time.
I kind of just
Girls, that's a
stuttered.
different story.
I just stuttered over the D.
Referee there, of course, is Earl Hebner, who we mentioned during the Shawn Michaels Steve Austin match we just watched. Back in action there. Not with the WWF anymore, and I mean, gosh, I don't even know if he's active at all at this point. Again, this is 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But just interesting that he's in the match now after we heard about him in the first match we watched. You see the Spanish announce table's already gone at this point.
Yeah.
Again, not the main event of the show, but one of the last matches. This was not... I think there were only about 6 matches on the pay-per-view card proper.
Just sitting in the chair with no table.
Lots of big matches.
What else was I supposed to do?
Like, Yep, my table's gone.
Okay, we got Taz and Michael Cole on commentary there. I wasn't sure who was doing the commentary for this match.
Get up, leave the headsets.
Cotton candy plastic? I just saw somebody said, "Come on, JR." This could be when they were doing dual announce teams, where because they had the shows were split, the rosters were split between SmackDown and Raw, where they had different wrestlers on each one, and so you had both commentary teams for WrestleMania.
Knocked on the cameraman.
Oh, that's a cool shot. So it could be that Taz and Michael Cole were the SmackDown announcers, and JR and Jerry Lawler are the Raw announcers. They're just not both at ringside. They might have JR and Jerry Lawler set up, closer to the stage.
Yeah.
And the SmackDown announcer at ringside. So we got to see the SmackDown announcer because they were fighting around their table. But actually on commentary is probably JR and Jim Ross. Yep, he's commentating with himself.
Yo.
Hi, folks. JR here with good old Jim Ross. Well, hey, Jim. JR's good to be with you, Jim Ross here.
Those cameras look heavy. The big cameras.
JR and Jerry Lawler, of course, is what I meant to say. No, they're ropes.
I was going to say, are the tables essentially
I thought you asked if they were cables. Because, WCW did use cables wrapped with tape, and WWF is actually ropes wrapped with tape.
Nice. Now, I was going to say, are the tables just, kind of basic tables, but then with, a more setup around them?
No, not the
that's almost what it looked like.
They're more involved, more unique tables for them. Like back in the day, the announcer would sit at ringside, would just be the regular folding tables. But,
yeah, I was wondering, because the one table that he was on top of, it looked like it had a thing that they could kind of knock away, and then it was just a table.
Yeah, no, it's got like a whole structure where it's got the front and the sides, and then got the top, and it does have that canopy or whatever that goes over the top where the monitors sit, but it's all custom built stuff for the WWF nowadays.
Nice.
Sorry, WWE. Even at this point, I guess it was WWE, because I see the logo without the F, although they could have changed that in post-production, I suppose, but I'm pretty sure the camera people just have the WW logo.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it. I think it was 2002 that they made the name change because of the dispute with World Wildlife Fund, but it's always WWF to me. I'm sorry, that's what it was when I started, and especially when I'm talking about older stuff.
Brands.
It's always WWE for me.
It's wrestling to me.
It's always WWW for me. The Worldwide Wrestling.
The World Wide Web.
Worldwide Wrestling.
It used to be the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. It was the WWWF.
Yeah.
And then they shortened the name either late 70s or early 80s.
Long before I was around.
Rock's got the sharpshooter on it. He started using that move at Survivor Series 98 when they sort of played off the Montreal Screwjob finish with Shawn putting the sharpshooter on Brett. Mm-hmm. Rock put the sharpshooter on Mick, and then McMahon called for the bell.
You were correct about it being safe.
I saw that. Field. Yeah, I wanted to finish my point before I got back to it, but we got some signage in the background.
Yeah. Lots of signs.
So it's just like an open
Do what,
kind
Alex?
of place.
Yeah, it's probably a baseball stadium. It's probably where the Mariners play. It could be the football stadium. It could be where the Seahawks play. Could be both technically, but more often than not, each will have their own arena nowadays.
Nice.
That big, it's not a basketball arena.
It
looks like it might even be open.
He's putting Austin in the corner.
And you're not going to have an open basketball arena, so in that case, it's definitely either baseball or football.
How dare you put Austin?
And yeah, in 2003, I don't even think I think you had the Seattle Supersonics, but I think they had moved and become the Oklahoma City Thunder by this point.
Why wouldn't you have an open basketball thing?
Because you're not going to play basketball in the rain. He's putting on Stone Cold's vest. I know you don't play baseball in a heavy rain either, but just basketball is traditionally... I know there are street courts for basketball, but basketball is just an indoor sport.
Interesting.
I mean, it would be you'd have to play on a different surface. I don't think you could maintain the that lacquered hardwood floor out in the elements and stuff. So you might have a special event where they'd do an outdoor basketball game, like they've done some outdoor hockey games, but at least on the big stages, basketball is an indoor sport, and even in high school and college, and whatever minor leagues exist, it's an indoor sport.
Yeah.
And football, you have some dome stadiums, you have some outdoor stadiums. Baseball, I guess the baseball you do have some dome stadiums too, but it's traditionally an outdoor game. Yeah, the King Dome, the Astrodome.
I like how I was most shocked about that than anything else that has been said in the last 10 minutes.
Yeah. I don't know how many dome. I mean, I don't really follow baseball anymore. So
yeah, aren't there some stadiums that are closed but they can open? Yeah.
Cool.
I think maybe the what's the one in the Sky Dome in Toronto? That's the baseball stadium. They've done a couple of WrestleManias. That one might open.
Nice.
Others might as well. Others do as well. That's just one that comes to mind, and I could even be wrong about that. But
yeah.
I think he made Austin angry.
I did? What did I say?
With The Rock.
I don't know, especially since you chose him over The Rock. While we were both cheering for The Rock.
Now Austin ends up beating him up.
He's managed to keep the vest on the whole time. Oh, Austin's version of the People's Elbow.
Yeah, The Rock's is way cooler.
Yeah, I guess not technically either, because Austin can sort of do that 3-step approach and then the drop. But just the fact that he backed up into the ropes first kind of made me think of the People's Elbow, which is unequivocally the dumbest move in the history of wrestling.
I was gonna say, it felt like he was doing it, but in a mock.
Okay, wait, I want you to watch these stomps. And he's not doing them as fast as he would normally do them. This is when JR would, he'd say that JR would say Steve Austin stomping a mud hole in the corner, and Jim Cornette always points those out as being really bad-looking kicks. But that it doesn't matter because Austin was so over that nobody ever really noticed. And I haven't watched a lot of Austin matches since I've heard him say that, but I was just curious what y'all thought. Those didn't look too bad. And there's Rock with the kip up.
What?
That was a Steve Austin thing. Sometime around, I don't know, 2001, 2002, he'd do promos where he'd say something, he'd say, what? And he'd say something, what? And eventually the crowd would start chanting, and they still do it nowadays. They'll interrupt promos with just, what? What?
Interesting.
But yeah, that's where that stems from. Apparently it came from, he had called another wrestler named Christian, who's Edge's storyline brother, just his real life close friend. Mm-hmm. And he got his voicemail, he was leaving a message, he was just entertaining himself by saying so many things, and then saying, what? And blah, 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 what? And then he took it to the microphone and got it over, but now to the point that crowds like to use to interrupt pretty much any promo they're not totally into. But the hair's on Austin's back. You don't think of Austin as having a hairy back, but you can see it there.
That is the one part of him that's not smooth.
Gotta adjust the vest. No. Oh, there's another middle finger. What's that make? 6 middle fingers at least?
I don't know.
Lots of middle fingers.
Yeah. But just... Yeah.
I was just going to give y'all a chance to see if y'all wanted to add anything.
I didn't have anything to add. They were both down. It's yep, they're both down.
They're waiting for something to happen. Saying something. I don't know.
That is not a good cover. You're not going to keep the rattlesnake down with that.
Oh, wait. There's a hold the 2 whenever it's a 2 count?
Yeah. That was a big thing. The crowds would chant, loudly chant, 2! Whenever it was just a 2 count.
Interesting.
That guy has... What the
fuck?
Yeah. It was like the rainbow afro clown wig. Could you imagine if Steve Austin wore one of those too? No. Horrible idea. And I did not want Alex to make art of that.
He's saying that sarcastically.
Big right hands from The Rock. You see Hebner's got he's like warning him, like, watch the closed fist. Come on, watch the closed fist.
Like
double middle finger from The Rock. Spit in the palm. Nope. Needed the gut. Stunner.
Ooh. Oh my God.
Rock always oversold the stunner.
Bounced around like a freaking pogo stick.
Yeah, that's Rock's signature sell of the stunner. Is this it? 1, 2, no!
Rock the pogo stick.
No questions.
As opposed to Rock the Dragon. Rock the pogo stick. Rock the pogo stick. Rock the pogo stick. Oh, he's back on his feet. It ain't over. It ain't over. He's got this. Earl Hebner doing some fine pantomime. It was a 2 count. I counted. Austin didn't like it. Do better next time. Go to mime school.
Can people stop tossing him around the ref?
No. They also signed a contract.
I have no idea what the Rock's doing there. He's saying something. I don't understand. He's making hand gestures.
Well, he was clapping, and then he patted his chest.
He also pointed his head.
Yeah, and then he did like the up yours gesture.
Uh-huh. It's like some secret code message.
I think he was saying the ref tried to count him out, but he's better than that. He's smarter than that. And up yours to anybody who thinks differently.
Okay.
Up. And here we go. The most electrifyingly stupid move in sports entertainment. Let's see if he actually hits it or if Austin interrupts it. No, he moved.
Aww.
Stunner number 2. Nope. Pushes him off. Spine Buster, which Rock called the Pine Buster in tribute to Pat Patterson. No, he's going for it again. There goes the other elbow pad. Will he hit it this time?
Come on, you can do it. Get the people. Yeah! Look, it doesn't matter if it looks dumb. It matters if the audience likes it.
Yep, you're absolutely right. But no way.
So it's like Austin stomps or whatever.
No way Austin was going to lose to the people's elbow. It was a very close crop due on The Rock. He probably should have just gone all the way at that point.
Yeah.
But I guess he needed to differentiate himself from Stone Cold. They couldn't have 2 bald guys on top. Once Stone Cold's out of the picture, then The Rock can go with the smooth look.
He stole his boldness.
I'm not saying he stole it, but I'm saying you don't want too many bald heads at one time.
Can only be the best at wrestling if you're bald.
I can only be bold once I defeat you. It's like Mega Man. You defeat a boss, you get
Rock
the
bottom,
ability.
is this it? Is one rock bottom enough to put away the rattlesnake? 1, 2. Nope. Didn't figure it would be since Austin couldn't pin him after 1 stunner.
Mega Man defeats someone that gains their boldness. The new power up.
So it's Bald Man he's beating? What does Bald Man do? Like bend down and reflect the sun off his head to blind Mega Man? Mega Man tries to put him in a headlock, he slips out.
I always love it when the wrestlers are sitting there like that. It's waiting for them to get up. It's like, got all day here.
Yeah, but that particular pose, that's a Rock pose right there. The hands on the thighs.
It makes me think of a Kris Jenner meme.
A Christian meme.
A Kris Jenner meme.
Oh. Uh-oh, rock bottom number 2. That might be all she wrote. Stone Cold either really got hurt or he's selling it. Nope. 2 wasn't enough.
That guy has 2 upside down.
Oh, bummer. You had your moment in the spotlight and you blew it, kid.
He started flipping in the middle of it. What are those guys doing? They're like shoving their 2s at each other.
Yeah, I don't know.
My 2 is better than your 2!
I think they're more pumping each other like, it's 2! It was only 2! Yeah! Woo! This is so great! We're at WrestleMania! That really wasn't funny.
Gabba found it funny.
Let's see, are there any signs up there with the ants in the background?
Yeah, not a lot of point in having a sign up there. This doesn't really look like a sign-heavy crowd. By 2003, maybe the signs are starting to phase out.
Could you imagine like a little stadium of ants watching wrestling? Could you imagine 2 ants wrestling?
Are they watching ants wrestling? They're actually watching human performers.
Yes.
Is a human wrestling an ant? I think that would go poorly for the ant.
Unless
That's
it's
a really
Ant-Man.
strong ant.
Ant, meet boot. Uh-oh. 3 rock bottoms. That might be all she wrote. I don't know if Austin can take a 3rd one. 1, 2, 3, and that's it.
I'd love to see an ant powerbomb another ant.
And the in-ring career of Stone Cold Steve Austin, at least for 19 years, was over at that point.
Oh well.
Damn.
And like I say, watching, we didn't know that at the time. We just thought, yeah, it's just another match. He'll be back tomorrow night on Raw. And right here, I think Rock's going to lean over and say something like, thanks, man, I love you. Thanks for, putting me over in your last match. I mean, I don't know that from reading his lips or anything. I've been,
Yeah.
been told that, read
Shoved
that,
the bath
etc.
one more time.
He's like, man, this is my moment with Austin.
Always has to shove the
I'm having a moment here, Earl. Get the fuck out of it.
These did not like all this match. So, get out of here!
If you smell.
Nice.
So there we go.
Yeah.
The bookends of the Austin era. The first world title victory and the last match
Yep.
from WrestleMania's long, long ago.
Not that long ago.
Longer than you've been alive, except for this one.
I was gonna say, not this one.
And that's barely.
She wants to feel like she hasn't been alive that long.
It's only been 20 years since this one.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
God, I loved wrestling at the time. And I love being able to watch it here on the podcast. We got some more wrestling coming up later this year. We're going to take a look back at Bret Hart's run at the King of the Ring in 1993. And that's the last thing I definitely have planned for wrestling. We might watch Hell in a Cell in June. I feel like we kind of have to because it's the 25th anniversary. But we'll see when we get there. Don't know what's coming up in April. Y'all haven't decided yet. I'm leaving April up to y'all. But anyway, thank you for joining us here on this WrestleMania edition of LexiCon Podcast. Hope everybody's enjoying WrestleMania. There's Rock with there's his mom and his grandma, and I assume that's Danny, the first lady, his first wife, who's still his business partner. Of course,
I know them from Young
all
Rock.
immortalized on the series Young Rock, which we should probably talk about at some point, but I'm wrapping it up here, so... But yeah, this was fun. Thanks for watching with me. I love showing you guys wrestling from my favorite eras. And we hope that you all listening enjoyed it as well. Come back next time when the conversation will continue. But until then, I will continue to be Maddie.
Lexi.
Dylan.
And this is LexiCon Concluded.
Bye.